Right, YouTube, Shadow King Nazru, and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. Now, I mentioned before in the previous video that I wasn't going to be doing my review of Kingdom Hearts 3 until we got the Remind DLC or any DLC that comes after, so we get the complete story and I can make a full judgment. Because DLCs final mixes add more content which helps change some things and makes improvements. So to help make up for that, I'm going to be doing something new. I'm going to be covering Kingdom Hearts characters and exploring what their fighting styles would be akin to like Jedi or Sith from the Star Wars universe. Now, this is inspired by people like Evanova 95 or Jin Sarai or Gray Jedi. So go check those people out. They make some really good content and they'll explore some stuff in the Star Wars universe. So I figured, since we're going to start the series, what better way to start off with than the main protagonist of the Kingdom Hearts series, Sora. Now, my analysis of his fighting style is going to be based off what was shown in Kingdom Hearts 3, as that I feel that's his most powerful incarnation. So let's get started, shall we? The first form of the Jedi and Sith lightsaber combat teachings is Shicho. Shicho is the most basic form of lightsaber combat and specializes in dealing with wide sweeps, covering large areas, and fighting. That's for fighting multiple opponents. However, it has the disadvantage of being too wide-ranging and not very good for fighting single targets. All in all, I do feel that in Kingdom Hearts 3, and maybe in some of the other Kingdom Hearts games, that this would be what Sora was specialized in, especially in Kingdom Hearts 3, as he had to fight a whole hordes of enemies, the Heartless, the Nobodies, the Unversed, the Disney villains, as well as the 13 Seekers of Darkness. So it would be best that he would choose a combat style that would deal with multiple opponents at the same time. The second form is Makashi, which was took the flaws of Chicho and improved upon it by having it focuses more on sword-to-sword combat. And it's very good for precision skills and disarming your opponent. However, it does have the weakness of not being good for fighting multiple opponents, though people who are really skilled with Makashi, could overcome this limitation to a degree, such as like Count Dooku. For me personally, despite Sora having experience fighting Keyblade wielders or other people with melee weapons, I wouldn't exactly call him a very Makashi expert, as his attacks don't seem very precision focused. The next form is Surisu, which is the defensive form. And the best person you would know who did this in Star Wars is Obi-Wan Kenobi, as he's the pinnacle of the Surisu form. It's all about defense, nearly impenetrable, but the downside is that it has no offensive capabilities. As for Sora, while he is capable of defending himself, I wouldn't exactly say that was his main two thing. He usually liked to go on the offensive. So I wouldn't exactly suggest that he was a Surisu expert. Now we go into Form 4, which is Otaru. Otaru is the most physically demanding form, as it requires a lot of agility and speed in going on the offense. But the downside is that you could leave yourself wide open and you could tend to be more often than not exhausted yourself if you weren't too careful. The best person in the Star Wars universe who was known for this is Yoda, as we've seen in the prequels, how he fought against Count Dooku against Darth Tyrannus and against Darth Sidious. I would say this is definitely a fighting style that Sora excels at ever since, I say Kingdom Hearts 2. As we've seen him be very mobile, jumping, wall running, flying, or gliding as it were, being very active in his movements, and trying to circumvent around his opponents using his agility. So yes, he definitely have Shicho and Ataru as some of his fighting styles. Now, Form 5 is the Shien/Jim So, which the Shien version is focused on deflection of blasters or any other projectiles, and Jim So is more about focusing on sword-to-sword combat, but instead of, unlike Makashi, which focuses more on precisions and circumventing your opponent's defenses, you're just using brute force and using strong footwork and counterattacking with a greater force whenever your opponent strikes you. This, I feel, is more inclined with Sora, as we've seen him try to use strength in his attacks. Less so when he, in Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3, when he's tried to focus more on his speed, but he's definitely shown that he still has a lot of power behind his attacks. So I would still say that Sora would fit into the Shien/Jim So variant. Now, Form 6 is Naiman, or Niman, depending on your pronunciation, and it's the moderation form. It's pretty much the jack of all trades. It's not as wide-ranging as Shicho, not as precise as Makashi, not as impenetrable as Surisu, not as fast as Ataru, and not as strong as Shien and Jim So. It's pretty much the whole balance form. It's pretty much for people who wanted to focus more on the Force, or in Kingdom Hearts case would be magic. So the best examples for the Nine-Man style in Star Wars would be people like Syndraulic, or Exar Kun, or Revan. Though those are our expanded universe characters, so we don't really have someone from the movies to go by. But where does Sora fit in this? I honestly would think that Sora would be a Nine-Man person, as he is very versatile with his combat, as he switches between his fighting styles of using his Keyblade as well as magic. And he does have Keyblade transformations in Kingdom Hearts 3, allowing him to use guns, hammers, bigger swords, yo-yos, all other crazy weapons. So yes, I definitely think Sora would be a good place for Nine-Man. Now, the final lightsaber style is Juyo, which is the very most aggressive form, and at first it will seem erratic, but you have to have complete control, and it feeds on your passion, which is a lot of Jedis don't really do, as they feel that leads to the dark side. And another thing about Juyo is that you can't really practice it unless you've practiced all 7 lightsaber styles. The best practitioners that we've seen for Juyo are people like Mace Windu and Darth Maul to a certain degree, though Mace Windu is a better version because he perfected and came up with his own style called Vapad, which is what he used against Darth Sidious in their duel. For Sora using Vapad, or Juyo, I don't see this, as there are some fighting styles that Sora lacks in, and he doesn't go all that aggressive, and depending on how the player plays, he might seem a bit erratic, but from what going by cutscenes alone, his attacks seem very controlled. So I wouldn't exactly call him a Vapad expert, and Also, he seems to be very control of his emotions for the most part. He doesn't really rely on anger and passion. I mean, the angest we got was we've seen him is either when he goes into his rage form, which is a more game mechanic thing, and when we got to see Master Xehanort kill Kyrian right in front of Sora, and he tried to strike Master Xehanort down back then. But all in all, I would say Sora is a very versatile fighter in Kingdom Hearts 3, and he does have a lot of things backing him up. And for Kingdom Hearts 3, he's focused on Shicho for fighting multiple opponents, Ataru for using his speed and agility to outmaneuver and go on the offensive, Jinso for going against people with power and trying to strike with more power against him, and really helps with some of his more power-focused abilities like his drive forms like Strike Form, which would be the one with the Hyper Hammer and all the other power-focused weapons in Kingdom Hearts 3. And I say Nyman because he's very versatile with the weapons he uses, and he's willing to add magic towards his combos. So, those were all my thoughts on Sora. I'm going to be trying to doing these kind of videos more often, and let me guys know what you think. And special shout out to Darksnovia for helping me collaborate with the video and making sure I had my facts straight with before doing this. So I'm not sure which next fight I'm going with. It probably, you know what? We'll save that for a surprise. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you guys have any suggestions of what Kingdom Hearts characters I should go with, or maybe some other characters that you want me to analyze for lightsaber combat, you guys let me know in the comment section. I'll catch you guys later.